Well, welcome to another episode of Faith Driven Leadership. I'm really excited to have another guest with me today, Shane Forbes. Welcome to the podcast.
It's great to be here.
Yeah, so Shane, I'm excited to have Shane for several reasons. I've gotten to know him a little bit over the last several months, not that long, several months, but I'm really grateful for Shane. Shane has been and is in law enforcement for over 29 years.
Yes, sir.
And so, first of all, thank you for your service.
Yeah. It's my pleasure.
Yes. And so I really wanted to hear, and others to hear, how do we live out our faith in our work, no matter what it is? I had different people on. So one of my first questions I ask people is just tell me a little bit of your story and what got you to where you are today.
Well, I was a young man looking for a career. I believed I was going to be an attorney.
Okay.
Went to college, was in criminal justice, did a justice studies major at ASU. And during that time, I had a mentor who thought that I would do well in law school and gave me a pre-LSAT, and he got me all squared away. And I was really interested in criminal prosecution. So that was what kind of drove me towards the legal side of things. And doing an internship with the local county, I did a little bit of an internship there, and I could just see that they were kind of the bottom of the barrel from law school, that were the graduates, and their heart wasn't in it. They were trying to gain the experience of a prosecutor so that they could excel as a defense attorney and make some money. So they were not all in as far as their character qualities and the team environment. They were very lazy. They were scared. There was a lot of fear-driven. They did not want to go to court, testify. Trying to prosecute a case. They wanted to do that behind the with plea bargains and straight waivers, and I was like, that is not what I want to do. So I got my degree and I applied for PD, and there was a long process. I never wanted to be a police officer, but I was thinking, if I could use a little bit of knowledge of the law and my drive to, put criminals where they belong, I come to find out it suited me. So I applied, and it took a year for me to get on. So at the age of 23, I applied, and I was accepted and went to the police academy, and found myself in a rough area town as a patrol officer.
Okay. And you have since moved into several different levels and done different things. I know we've talked about you've been a detective and done other detective type work and other things like that. So you've been all different levels of working in law enforcement, and you're still in law enforcement. Looking back, what experience do you think most shaped your leadership?
My leadership. Well, I sat under the leadership of an excellent sergeant who kind of followed my career path. I followed his career path, but he became a sergeant, and he was a sergeant of a group of field training officers that trained the recruits that came out of the academy. So he was my sergeant. I was a trainer. So I had gotten to the point where I had mastered the craft enough to pass on the little I knew to the new recruits that were coming out of the academy, and it suited me. But I was on a team of excellent police officers that were driven to the same degree that I was. They had a passion for law enforcement. They were dominant personalities. And everybody had a different talent. So you had your traffic guys, you had your dope guns and stolen cars, and then you had the guys that are hunting the fugitives that have warrants, and so there was so much work to be done at that time. The gangs were really prevalent in the geographical area where we worked. So there was so much that you could specialize in to become excellent as patrol officers. And that sergeant had a knack for putting us, he basically gave us our leash and he took us off the lead and said, "Go do what you're good at. When you're not training your officers,
Okay.
go do what you're good at and excel at it." So
Yeah, sounds like he really set you up for success.
he did, but he gave us freedom. He did not micromanage how we did our work.
Okay.
He just said, "Go, stay busy," and that which wasn't tough. We were all of us were young officers, but of the 10 guys that were on that squad, 8 of them became leaders on the department. I mean, as far as pros. I mean, some went to the air unit, some went to motors to be traffic cops. Some promoted up through the ranks.
Yeah.
Some went on to be fugitive detectives.
Wow.
And but we all looked at this sergeant as the beginnings of excellence and striving for excellence.
Let's talk about him for a minute, the sergeant.
Okay.
Because it sounds like he really impacted your life. I did hear you say a couple of things. One, he didn't micromanage.
Yes.
He let you run. Because a lot of times today, leaders don't do that. They're afraid that either things will reflect on them, they'll look badly if they let somebody run and they run the wrong way. And you lead now. So
Yes.
what are you looking for in people? So leaders are listening to this and they're like, yeah, I'm new to leadership. How do I know when to let people run and when to not micromanage, but to control more?
Okay.
Because it sounds like he really let that happen and just play out.
He did. So he, like I said, he emphasized, find out what you're good at.
Yeah.
And then hit it. And
Okay.
he's like, and as long as you weren't trying to stuff a square peg in a round hole, and you really weren't good at that, you wished you were good at it, but in reality, you had the knowledge and you had the aptitude and you had the drive to head in that direction, he channeled your energy that way, and he was not fearful.
Okay.
So as a leader, when I look at that man, he was a courageous leader who wasn't afraid to get a little messy.
Yeah.
And so he didn't expect perfectionism. He defended us when we were called on the carpet. If we did make a mistake of the head, here's the other thing, is that he's like, I can handle you guys making mistakes of the head, making a bad decision. But if you're doing anything that's unethical or immoral or illegal, you're done. You've betrayed my trust. So as long as we maintain that level of trust with the leader, and he vetted us. I mean, he constantly, I would say probably once every 2 months I would meet with him individually and just talk about life. And he'd find out what my hobby, I'm a hunter. He would find out what was my latest hunt, and I was a family man, but I had a young family at that time. I think I had two kids when two young children, and so we all thought we were his favorite, all 10 of us.
Yeah.
And but he just had the knack of developing our careers and channeling our talents and doing it in a way that we didn't have too much strife. I mean, that's a group of alpha males that are competitive, but he was able to see if there's certain part of police work that you don't enjoy. There's some things that they're vegetables. You've got to eat them. And there's some, typically your drug guy, the guys that want to go hunt the drug, the drug users and the drug sales and they're always carrying guns. That personality doesn't necessarily want to take a traffic wreck or write a ticket or do, there's but there were guys on our team that wanted to do things like that. And so if they're traffic oriented, if they want to interview victims on the scene, if there's a violent incident, the ones that wanted to be detectives someday usually wanted to interview the victim and get that information out so that the rest of the team could go find the suspect. Yeah. My personality was not great empathy for the victim. It was I wanted to terrorize that suspect. I wanted to make his world small, and I wanted to catch him. So that was my that was most of our bent. I would say more than half the squad was wired that way. But then you had the ones that could impress the detectives who responded to the scene to clean up the mess after we had taken the initial investigation, and then they could do the briefings. They could look good, and they organized the perimeter. They the evidence gathering and things like that. They'd maintain the scenes and show their expertise that way. But he always showcased the person that was there, and he promoted each member of the squad. So it was he's just a great leader, and that's probably the most influential leader that was in my life. I got our paths crossed again when I became a detective, but that was initially.
That's neat. Yeah. No, I mean, you said several really key things. I mean, I can't summarize it all, and I'm not going to, but I think a couple key takeaways for me was he was present with each person when he met with them. And he wasn't present just for tell me the numbers and tell me what you've done for the job. What I hear is he actually cared about the person. I see that missing a lot today with leaders. The leaders, and I can fall into that trap myself, which is we do all have things to do. You have a job to do. But we also have people we're working with, and it's finding that balance of, yes, there are results that have to be done, but not at the expense of not growing and developing people around us. And it sounds like he modeled that for you and the other team, which is hard for a bunch of alpha people to be in the room and to be able to experience that well.
Yes.
So he was able to model that. But you also said something interesting, which is, I don't know if this is still true, but it seemed he was also able to find in that department as a total, or a company as a whole, if you put it in a different context, everybody wasn't trying to do everything. He was trying to find who's supposed to be in this seat on the bus, just that analogy. Sure. He was trying to understand, you're empathetic. It seems like from you should probably maybe consider being a detective. You're not empathetic at all. You should probably not be and so it seemed like it was okay to, like you mentioned earlier, not force a round peg in a square hole and identify that. Yeah. Were there key ways that he was able, did it just come natural, or have you found ways to do that naturally to identify people that way?
Well, he talked to us.
Okay.
Individually. We had our briefings every day that we saw, and he addressed the group. Yeah. He addressed the team. And he was, the man was 6'5", like 260 pounds. He was a college football player, he was a lineman. Just a natural born leader. Yeah. He was from a military home. He was very structured. He was very direct. But he was intelligent enough to, his emotional intelligence was very high, and he could connect because he was everybody's hero. He was a police officer in the same area that's where he did his patrol time, was where the same geographies where we were standing. He did he went to gangs as a detective, and then he went to SWAT as an SAU operator, and then he promoted to sergeant. But he was a hero. Everybody, he's just his presence. He is the man you notice when you walk in the room. He just has that natural gift. Yeah. But I believe his goal. I never talked to him about this, but he wanted to develop leaders. And when I promoted to sergeant, he was a director of. He was the top guy of an agency. That he became like a chief of police somewhere, and when he heard that I promoted, I got a letter from him, just encouraging me of the principles of good leadership, and to be kind and kind-hearted towards the good people, and to be vicious with the bad people. Yeah.
He really modeled the way.
He did.
It sounds like, at every level.
At every level.
Well, in line with that, at what point did your faith begin influencing how you led?
So I didn't become. When I was in as my first leadership role was official leadership role was a trainer on his squad. So he was as an FTO sergeant. I've just learned this. As an FTO sergeant, you are developing the leadership traits. He is that trainer is responsible for his trainees, so his OIT. So the FTO has to show leadership traits, and has to have an understanding of the strengths and weaknesses, the learning styles, the way they're. Are they naturally gifted at leadership, or is it something that has to be modeled and trained? Because I mean, there's great big debate on whether leaders are born or whether they're made. So I would say my faith was always there, and you model Christ. I mean, this man, although he was a great leader, he was a train wreck at home. He had real difficulties in his own personal life. So you could use him as a mentor on the department, but as far as a role model, you have to stay away from men that have magnetic personalities that are amoral or immoral. And I wouldn't say that he was an immoral man. He's just very dominant and very had a difficulty one-on-one maintaining long-term relationships. So I saw the difference between good leadership on the human level when you're around the police environment. It's a very secular, it's a very man-made, it's a very ego-driven profession. I love cops. I love them, but I understand them, and I've fallen into the same traps that they do on a human level. But as a child of God, I mean, you look at Christ and the humility that he showed, and you're constantly fighting, trying to suppress your own ego, and replace it with grace and forgiveness, and because men, I mean, cops talk trash around each other's backs, and you catch them doing it, and you just have to. You have one of two. I mean, you can make that person an enemy, or just realize that he's a goat. I mean, he's not in the fold of Christ, and he doesn't have the sensitivities of what he's doing to try to push others down and put yourself up on a pedestal. That's a human nature, and it's something that when we're given a new nature, it's the opposite. You want other people to look good, and you want to show, you want to showcase them like Heston, or like my sergeant could do. He had that ability to put people up on pedestal and showcase them, but it was self-serving for him, because he wanted an elite unit. I mean, but he knew how to do it. He knew how to move the human elements into positions to make him successful. I'm not looking for success. I'm looking for I want to display love. That wasn't necessarily what you got from that leader, was love. But if you can display sacrifice and replace that with dominance, with a dominant alpha personality that's magnetic, if you show kindness and mercy and love to the people that you're leading, and they know it's genuine, and they see that you've sacrificed, I mean, simple things. You buy their coffee, you buy their lunch when you're out talking to them, but put every person on the calendar and meet individually with those people, and spend a little bit of time, caring for them, showing care for the people that you lead, and before long you have work friendships and relationships that are genuine, and it's not just a manipulation tool to try to get people. I mean, people could say that about a Christian man who's trying to put himself below others, but it's not. It's following Christ's example and the condescension that it takes to be a good leader.
Yeah. Speaking of that, it sounds like you've talk about success looks different ways at different times, especially people of faith. How has maybe your view of success changed? So you touched on it a little bit, but how do you find that balance? Because we still need to do well, but we also don't need to be the epitome, the eye of everything, like the top person that everybody comes to and have all the answers. How has your faith impacted maybe that perspective of you still got to perform, but you don't have to be the king?
Sure.
And tied to that, you mentioned you need to have empathy. As a believer, we should. But yet I'm guessing, do you struggle with that from times as you're working with really bad people? Mm-hmm. Speaking of that a little bit.
Oh, okay. So I had one partner that was a believer that we were on fugitive apprehension detail, and we were partners. And he came from a background where, I came from a very loving, I had loving parents, very organized Christian home, but they loved me. And this man, his father went to prison, and he didn't see him his entire life. So he had a special sensitivity. If Christ could do law enforcement, it would be this man. He would do. He followed Christ to that degree, and I'm more like Peter, angry, getting the sword out and slicing Malchus's on. I'm more when I get very angry at violent crime, and it just takes I believe it does take violent men with violent aptitudes to defeat violent men that are criminals. So it takes something bigger than a wolf to put him in a cage. Yeah. And so he really made it evident to me that I had problems with my empathy, and I was not looking at the perspective. I looked at Romans 13, and I just wanted to be, thank you, Lord, for making me your hammer of justice. I love it. I love enforcing the law, and people that don't abide by the law should be very afraid. And I love that. I love that passage of scripture in Romans 13. But the merciful, the humble, exemplify. You do that. You live your faith with integrity when you enforce the law the way this man did. And so I've always strived. You strive to be like Christ, but in human terms, this man's a lieutenant now, and he's a natural born. He was a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. So he has very good leadership abilities, but he loves Jesus, and I have to say that I work really hard on trying to be more empathetic. I am more empathetic with cops that work for me than I am with any other species of human.
Fair. So it's a work in progress.
It's a work in progress.
Sounds like he was able to model it for you.
Yes.
Did that just live out in how he interacted with people? How was that lived out? Was it he gave a little more grace, or practically? He gave a cup of water when it was needed, and I would withhold that water until he gave me the information. Okay. So we were on different sides of things. You have to be violent very quickly, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. He did not. It was a necessary evil for this man. And I could see that and he was a good shot caller for me as partners, but he loved me, and we never did anything outside the scope of law enforcement. Sure. So what I'm saying is that we weren't doing something that was outside of policy. Sure. But it's just when it came to it, I had a big smile on my face, and my partner would just shake his head like, man, you're getting carried away. But yeah. Interesting. No, it's fair. It's that it's a good reminder for all of us. Just because a person follows Christ, we haven't arrived. We're all still a work in progress, and I like what you said several times is what I heard is you're trying to, like even with fellow officers, you realize we're all humans and you're trying to give them grace. And do you take the road of, hey, you shouldn't say that, or beat them up, versus the encouragement side? It sounds like that's still a work in progress for you as it is for me, trying to find the positive side versus the judgment side.
Sure. And I mean, I've learned that using coercion and the spirit of fear to gain compliance doesn't work for cops. It just doesn't.
Yeah,
it just doesn't. You deflate. If you start punishing bad choices that are just errors in judgment or errors in tactics. Yeah. If you start punishing that and trying to get a pound of flesh out of the cop that did that, who already has an overactive sense of perfectionism and trying to do things correctly. I mean, they're going to beat themselves up so bad with the mistakes that they make. And so as a leader, that way, it's if you can get an environment to where it's more embarrassing to make a mistake than it is like to punish something, try to correct the behavior, but I mean, if it's repeated, then you punish it.
Sure.
I mean, it's just you didn't learn your lesson, man. You take your spanking.
Right.
But if you're, that's not a lot of times that is not necessary to try to take the punishment and make that the fearful thing that motivates them into good behavior or compliance or productivity.
Yeah.
So.
No, it goes back to what you were saying, the modeling the way and walking alongside them versus dropping the hammer and saying that was wrong or stupid or whatever.
Sure.
It's walking with somebody.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, speaking of hard lessons, maybe you've already talked, but what's one of the hardest leadership lessons you've learned?
Well, I was at just recently, I spent about 5 or 6 years in the traffic bureau as a motor sergeant. And I thought things were going splendidly. And they were. I mean, our productivity on my squad, I loved the guys that I was leading. My motors were the best motors that were in the unit. They gravitated to my squad, and then I was a second shift. It was a swing shift squad, and the ones that had young families, it's a family killer. So if you had kids that are in sports, it's really difficult to work that. So my whole goal was to try to get them to day shift, which is a more senior position I had a bunch of young officers. So I had the ability to bring that team together. When I took that squad, I asked my lieutenant if I could take them for a week offline. It was in the southern part of our city, and this designated room that we had for our motors was just in shambles. It looked identical to when I was a rookie. So I mean, this is 25 years later, and this place was a mess. I mean, it was poor condition from top to bottom. So when I took the squad, I really wanted to rehab that room, and I was like, let's be a good team building exercise. So from the very first day when I got transferred over there, I'm like, hey guys, I told them ahead of time, hey, we're gonna put some work in, we're gonna demo this room, and we're gonna make it ours. And so I spent a lot of money and a lot of time. I mean, we got a boardroom table that was, like a 10-foot or 12-foot table that everybody could fit around. I got some chairs that I found in the basement of our main headquarters, and we went to this ghetto place from an offer up to get this boardroom table. I mean, it's pretty fun. I mean, we did all the electrical. We tore all this wall carpet off and had to tape and texture everything and paint it. We rewired it so that we could put a big screen TV in, and by the time we were done with that, we did some tile work because we pulled out some old desk surfaces that we didn't use anymore. It was when I mean, it was a 30-year-old building that needed some attention. But after that week of making that brand new, I mean, they saw that I put a little sacrifice into it, and they could see that I was genuinely concerned about trying to make a place special for them, and that I built that team, and I thought I was doing the right thing, and I was writing tickets. I was out there running radar with my guys, and there was a little bit of strife in the office with the admin sergeant who took my spot. So I started there as an administrative sergeant, and then one of the motor sergeants that was on enforcement hurt his back, couldn't ride a bike anymore, and so I traded positions with him. Well, he turned out to really be a bully when it comes to trying to manage the way I ran my squad. And so he was friends with the commander, he was friends with the lieutenant. They were young officers, or they were young sergeants together, so there was a previous relationship, and it just his attitude towards me just soured, and I don't know what caused it necessarily, but I was just working my butt off, and I don't know, it's just there was so much friction by the time my lieutenant asked me to leave.
Now, that had to be hard, building the department and building the room, physically building the room and together enjoying that, and then transitioning out. That's a hard lesson, hard season to go through.
Yeah.
Especially, as you said, when you believe you were doing the right thing. So, not to dive into that specifically, but how has that impacted you? How have you come out the other side? Or are you still coming out the other side of, God, you mentioned God is still in control. You did what you can. So, what does that look like for you?
So we talked a little bit earlier about stuffing a square peg in a round hole, or a round peg in a square hole.
Either one.
And I was not naturally suited for traffic.
Okay.
I'd never been a traffic guy. I came there at request. I had transferred to that as that administrative sergeant for the traffic bureau, because the commander was a friend of mine and knew that I needed to get that checkbox for lieutenant, because it's an administrative position. He knew I wasn't, but I mean, we had some issues. There was a civilian secretary that worked under him that needed to go. She was a bad person that needed to. There were some ethical issues, and there were some just creepy things that needed to be dealt with. And it's very difficult on our department to terminate a civilian. I mean, it's very, very hard to get that done. So I was successful in that endeavor, but he needed somebody that he trusted. This was a man that we had been to Central and South America and Africa on mission trips together. He was the president of a mission organization that trained Central American police departments they're not actually police. They're national police. So it's kind of interesting how that works. But we would go down and do some tactical training in exchange for, in Central America, they would let you preach the gospel. So we would be able to share the gospel with the men that we were training. So they saw the brotherhood of police officers across the world, trying to hone their skills, and we're giving them tactics for life. But the more important thing was the spiritual aspects of enjoying them forever in the brotherhood of Christ. So it was a great opportunity. I mean, but we were very, very close friends, and he knew the moral dilemma that was happening in his office, and he trusted me implicitly. So that's kind of what moved me over there to something that I am not suited for traffic, but it became my mission, because that was the mission that I was, that was and I did it well. And I really, they accepted me as a motor, even though I was a tactical guy. And did not have the aptitudes that people that naturally like to write tickets and bus. I just wasn't I never did that throughout my as an officer. But as a sergeant, I learned how to write tickets, and I did it very well. So I ended up writing 80 to 100 tickets a month, and I'm here. I'm back on patrol, and I'm figuring out my team, and I've got 10 guys now that are trainers, and so I'm back where my mentor was all those years ago when I was a young officer. So.
Sounds like it's come full circle.
Kind of has.
And it sounds like you're in where you're supposed to be, in a sense. It sounds like you're able to do different jobs. We're all able to step up, but it wasn't what gave you joy, I don't think. Or maybe.
No, I could say that I found joy in it. I mean, it was something I could have done the rest of my career.
Okay.
I could have retired out of motors and been content. But this bucket list thing of being able to, I saw how influential a field training officer sergeant was in my life, and it set my trajectory in a way that I did everything I wanted to do except that.
Yeah.
On the department.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like maybe this is where you're able to give back more even.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. This is like, being able to pay it forward and to give a little snapshot. There's institutional knowledge that I have after 29 years.
Yeah.
That the way we did things, there were some bad things that we did. We've improved transparency, and there's no such thing as a dark alley anymore where police work can be done. It's all on camera, and so there's adjustments that need to be made. But as far as the whole idea of tracking people where they're gifted and where their desires, you're not asking anybody to do anything that they don't want to do when they're doing their specialty. Yeah. I mean, if to tell some of my guys, hey, you've got to spend a whole shift making contacts in this area to try to reduce the get the druggies out of here. You wouldn't be twisting anybody's arm. They would just be all in because they're young, they have energy, their work ethic is high, they're competitive. All 10 of my guys want to it's who's got the sexiest arrest of the day, and it's just like everybody kind of compares notes and tells their stories, and but the thing that's really exciting about the 10 guys is that I've got 5 believers, and I have never had that wealth of brotherhood. There's something about brotherhood in the police department when you recognize, when you know what it is, you know it. You know when it's missing, you know when it's there.
Yeah.
But when there's a twofold aspect of brotherhood, of being in Christ and doing the same job, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
So I have that opportunity. I put the copy of study Bible in each of those 5 men's hands, and we're studying God's Word together now, outside work, and it's been rewarding. Yeah. I mean, it's only been 3 weeks since I've had this position, but there's a little bit of a honeymoon stage probably with your guys, but
sure.
I already know that this is awesome. Very rewarding.
Yeah. Sounds like God has taken what was not going well in a bad situation, so to speak, that came out of it, and now you're in a unique place where it's come full circle, which is excellent. So that's great. Let's go into a couple leadership questions. What are you seeing leaders most commonly getting wrong today?
So a lot of leaders rely on coercion and fear of not doing the job as a motivation. Okay. I think they rely too heavily on internal affairs and the punishment aspect of trying to do and it stifles creativity. It encourages doing the bare minimum to stay off the radar.
Yeah, no, that's fair. I think that's true in every line of work. Unfortunately, that happens. People either micromanage or they use power, and they think it's the fastest way to get to the top, and they don't care about who they're hurting. So, I can understand that. A question every leader should ask themselves more often. Any thoughts on that?
Well, it's a positional. So am I making it easy for my followers to follow me? So if you're easy to please, and I don't mean that you reduce your standards for excellence, but if you have a whole team that is focused on striving for excellence and they're doing their best, you don't look at the end product or the result. You look at the effort that's put in, and that's all you can do. I mean, if there's somebody else imposing their will on the productivity aspect of things, it makes it difficult as a leader. But you have to protect your guys and keep the morale high, so that they still love coming to work, and it's not a dread, and it's not just a job.
No, that's fair. I can appreciate that. How do you make difficult decisions when there isn't a clear answer?
Communication. Okay. So before you announce the decision that you've made, you get with your team. I have 10 guys. It's not hard to get together with each one of them. It's going to disappoint somebody if there's a hard decision, but you don't break the news in a conference, and then it's news to everybody. And now everybody has the opportunity to go, oh, did you know that this was, Then it just breeds discontent. So if you got to make a decision, make it. Do it quickly. Be decisive. And don't be afraid to make the mistake, because and if your team knows that you're humble enough to realize that you've made a mistake and you can change a route. If there's a way to make it better, I will always try to make it better and soften the blow. But if it's a difficult decision and you don't have a clear answer on which one, I'm going to choose an answer. I'm not going to poll everybody to get their opinion on it. I'm going to let them know what my decision is. And I mean, if somebody has a better idea, I will definitely use it. But typically, if there's not a great answer, I'm going to have to, as a leader, come up with it. But it's the way you deliver it and the personal touch that gives. It just makes it easier. It softens the blow, and it's not a surprise to anybody. And really, I mean, I don't care if my guys discuss it and they have opposing views to it. But just that they have a clear understanding of why I made the decision.
Yeah, that's good. I love the communication side. So speaking of you personally, like you're currently as a leader where you are, what are you currently learning as a leader, or how are you adapting to change in your current role?
So training supervisors. So it's almost like I've gained a step in leadership. So I'm not just supervising men that need to do a job. I'm supervising men and women that are supervising one. So I'm a supervisor. Yeah. So what I'm learning is they're already pros. Before I hired them, I watched body cam video. I read their reports. I know what their skill sets are.
Yeah.
And it's a huge advantage in technology these days that I can actually see them on the job without having even met them. And so what I'm learning is that you don't have to even follow into their calls to supervise them. You just have to be there when you're needed. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of hard because I love doing the job.
Sure.
But the job is for the young men. I'm an old man now. I've got a different way of doing the job, and I'm learning So I'm trying to catch up with technology, and I'm trying to remove myself from being operational to supervisor, to a true supervisor at a higher view. So I have to evaluate how they're leading their OITs. So it's a different. It's you kind of stepped up a little bit. So your view is more big picture than every day.
Sounds like you've had to adapt your leadership style a little bit, and just your approach as you get older. As you mentioned, you said you're getting older.
I am.
But as you're dealing with different people, what I hear is you're adapting to also what's happening, but also realizing they are experts in their field. Let them do their job.
Yes, and that's trust. So I trust them, but I vetted them.
Yeah. Trust but verify.
Yeah, trust but verify. So I vetted them. I can listen. So they're almost everything that they do goes out on the radio. Yeah. So I mean, it's just you do a lot of monitoring audibly instead of in person. On top of them, checking on their work. Yeah. If I'm checking on them, it's a social call. It's not usually or it's a scene that needs leadership on the scene because you got to get containment. I mean, if there's a violent situation, then you definitely need. I mean, that's when I come into that now I'm needed for a scene. So officers take calls, sergeants take scenes, and lieutenants take incidents. So my lieutenant won't ever probably be on most of the scenes that I manage, like a traffic fatality or a homicide scene, unless it gets multi-agency, and I mean if it's a huge mass casualty or something, then that would be an incident.
We don't want that.
No. So yeah, it's stretching my view of leadership because I'm not hands-on as much as I used to be.
Yeah, so that's fair. Well, based on where you are today as being in law enforcement and as a human being, as a follower of Christ and having a family, if you could go back to your 25-year-old self or whatever age you want to pick, what advice would you give yourself?
Well, I mean, it's the same. I got really good advice when I was 25. I mean, it was just, and it's just that you never stay the same. You're lying to yourself if you stay the same. You either get worse or you get better, and that's in your discipline, in your craft as a police officer, in your walk as a Christian. You never. It's very rare that you would stay the same. If you're staying the same, you're stagnant, and you're gonna get worse. Yeah. If you're staying the same, you're being lazy. You're not challenging yourself to be better, to be a better follower of Christ, to be a better leader, and in this case, to be a better operator as an officer. But I don't know if I took that to heart as much, because there were years that I tried to stay the same. I mean, you still train, you still try to get sharpen the tools that you have, but your heart's not in it to grow.
Yeah.
You're not looking for growth, and I just think that's key. I mean, as a 25-year-old, if you can continually grow, you're going to be a giant in whatever profession you're in. I mean, you just get better at what you're good at, and don't stuff a square peg in a round hole.
I like it. Well, you work with a lot of emerging leaders. So what do you think emerging leaders most need today?
Love, sacrifice, humility. I mean, it's just like it's Christ. It's the standard that Christ gave us, that He displayed for us when He came to earth. Yeah. He is an all-powerful, magnificent, God of creation, and He condescended, and He showed how great that condescension was and how much love it has. I mean, it's the two tables. You glorify God. Ultimately, that's your goal, is to glorify God and to love Him, but you do so by loving your neighbor. Those two aspects. If you know how to show love and condescension and sacrifice for the men that you work for, men and women that work for you, if you can show that kind of leadership, everything falls into place. They know they're loved. They know that they're valued. But it has to be genuine. It can't be a tactic. It's just that's what's neat about being in the body of Christ, is it's not a tactic. It's a changed heart. So I don't know how you would say that to an unbeliever, because it's a manipulation tool if it's an unbeliever. But if you're following Christ and his example, it ceases to be a manipulation tool. And I mean, it'd be effective whether you're a believer or not, by showing condescension and showing servant leadership. But know that you're glorifying God by lifting up your neighbor. Yeah. And their needs are greater than yours. And if it takes sacrifice, if to accomplish a goal would take a little bit of sacrifice from yourself, do it. It's just, I mean, and it just, if it makes things, I mean, it will make things better, but it's just out of the heart of truly loving your neighbor more than yourself. And that's what I would say.
That's good. No, I appreciate that. And like you said, the difference is anybody can do that, so to speak. But what is why? Is it to get something, or is it to honor God?
Yeah.
And I think that's the difference. It's not just a formula.
No, and then you're not looking at results, because you're honoring God.
Right.
So whether it works or not,
that's right.
You're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You're doing the right thing, and you're showing the human. I just think you're being a good leader. Yeah. By showing that you're willing to sacrifice for the greater good of your team.
No, I appreciate that. That's good. Well, let's do a couple rapid fire questions.
Okay.
Favorite book?
Oh, well,
favorite leadership book?
Favorite leadership book? All right, Generalship.
Generalship.
I have a copy of it.
Okay.
Over there, but it's so there's this author. I'm terrible. This is a late night, I guess. He interviewed 1,000 generals. He's a journalist, and he tried to find a common thread on good leadership and bad leadership.
Okay.
And it's just that's something that it interests me. It's whether, I mean, and the huge debate is whether a leader is born or made. Yeah. And it takes environment. Yeah. So God can raise up leaders. You could have great leadership skills and be a natural born leader and never have an audience to lead, never have a following, never have the opportunities. So it's a combination of God's timing in time and bringing out certain personalities that have learned skills or are actually have magnetic personalities and the aptitude for good leadership and good social skills. But it's neat to see all these different generals that were interviewed and be able to see what their take is on leadership.
To check it out.
Yeah.
Interesting. Favorite Bible passage?
Romans 8 gives you courage.
Yeah.
When you know that everything's working for a bigger plan. I mean, all things work together for good for those who love God.
Yeah. Good.
According to his purpose. And for whom he did foreknow, he also predestined to become conformed to the image of his son. So there's that sovereignty aspect that we as Christian men, as leaders on the police department, and operators, have a sense of peace, and it's perceived as courage. People around you think that you're not scared of anything, which isn't true. But you're a guardian. You know where you know that to be absent with the body is to be present with the Lord. Yeah. And you know that, and that as your faith deepens, you really are concerned about the safety of your family. I mean, I have an overwhelming sense of protection for my family, but it's a pride. When it comes right down to it, who can take care of my family better than God? And if that's the path, if I'm out of the picture and their path goes with a fatherless home and a husbandless wife, it's gonna be okay. All things work together for good. Yeah. and it's part of his purpose. So when you're on the police department, you do things dangerous. There's an element of danger, and it's really exciting, and it's we rely on tactics and precision and outthinking, and so all those things none of those things matter when your number is up. You could be the most proficient tactician. You can organize a plan well, and one random bullet can end it. And I've seen it happen with. I have had a really good friend that was the best fugitive. He's the best cop I knew, and he was met his maker on a day that. But he perished. He went to hell, and that is just something that believers and the 5 men that I have on my squad, we've talked about this, and they think that we're like super brave because we're not afraid to go into dangerous situations, and we're calm and we're at peace, and we're protective of our other officers. The primary focus in that situation is to protect the innocent, but then to protect our fellow officers with our lives, because we know where we're going, and we don't want our heathen brethren to perish. And so we would jump on that grenade if we needed to, because it would save the life of somebody that would perish in hell.
Yeah.
And their time's not up yet. And as long as they're still walking and breathing, there's a chance that they become a sheep and not remain as a goat. Amen. So.
No, that's huge. Well, one, I think you've touched on this already, but biggest leadership myth.
Fake it till you make it.
Okay.
Don't fake it. Know what you're doing. Competency. Fake it till you make it is a facade, and it's disingenuous. And you, as a leader, you are better. It's better to expose what you don't know, and to get a professional that does know, and have access to that, rather than having to do it all and to be a pro at everything. It's just be humble. You don't fake it. Faking it till you make it I think that's the worst myth. It's an American way to make it seem like you are something that you're not. And it's just humble yourselves and say you don't know, and then go find and get a resource for your guy to get the answer. So,
best advice you ever received?
Well, I've got to say, you never stay the same. You either get worse or you get better.
Okay. Good. Well, as we close up today, if you wanted people to remember one thing from our time together today, what would it be?
Well, stay humble. Stay humble as a leader. Just relate to the men that you're leading, men and women that you're leading, and stay humble. And I got to say that will whether you're a believer or not, if you put the interests of others in front of your own individual career goals, that's what I think I would want to get across. Yeah. Is just put others first. And it's self-serving. In the physical realm and in the spiritual realm, you're doing the right thing by showing Christ, by humbling yourself, and looking out for the best interest of the team.
Yeah.
So
that's great. Well, thank you. Thanks for being with me today. This has been huge and great information. So thank you. And just want to encourage everybody that's watching, thank you for watching. And also, if you don't regularly follow us, please like and subscribe to this channel, Faith Driven Leadership. You'll see some links in the show notes. faithdrivenleadership.co is our website. We would love to be able to provide resources to you if we can help you on a coaching perspective in your journey, or whatever else we can do to help you move forward in your life. We'd love to hear from you. So please do like and subscribe, and leave a comment below of how we can be of assistance to you.